gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody in between and all over the world, welcome to this beautiful, bright, if not overcast, but promising weekend of Ultimate here in Nottingham. I am Lorca Murray and I am joined by the GB coach, Ulti-World European Editor-in-Chief, emancipated Irish brethren, Sean Culfer. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, Lorca. Feeling good. Looking forward to the start of the weekend. This could be some good games on offer all weekend. Starting off with a good one, I think.
And as we see these two sides matching up, coming from, I mean, if we're going to get a little bit loose and poetic with our licenses, opposite ends of the country.
Yeah, very much so. You've got players in this Alba team from Aberdeen, and then Smash D largely London-based nowadays, so about as far apart as you can get within the UK, within the one island anyway.
And can we expect a clash of styles to match this clash of geography?
I think so. I think you're going to see a lot more kind of high-level experience from Alba. Smash D, a lot younger. They've got kind of one of the players we're going to be talking a lot about is very young, one of the youngest players on the field. So clash of styles, clash of experience should be all made up for a really good start to what hopefully is going to be a really exciting tournament.
Well, we will find out as we're getting things going straight away. Hill with Turville. They are operating in the end zone. Couple of passes back and forth as they try to loosen up, but has come down in a very tight match defense from Alba. Nice throw to the break side, and there's the big shot straight out of the hands of Chun Li. He's looking, he's got options downfield, and a phenomenal grab. Stellar scenes as they look to finish it off, not forcing anything, not rushing themselves, taking their time. Able to get it back to the form of Lee. He had the throw, he goes for the break, and it's a comfortable finish, a goal.
Yeah, really nice start for Smash D. Said they don't have quite as much top-level experience as Alba, but they are very, very confident in themselves. You saw that throw went up. Chun Li put that up there for Ben Phipps, who just ripped it out of the air ahead of Cammy Agnew. Cammy Agnew, one of the Alba captains for many years, GB mixed captain, really, really good experienced player, but Phipps has the height advantage there, and he made every bit of that count.
And are you watching that play develop as a coach and thinking, oh, Agnew is, as we have another look at the brilliant break, and that was to Riccardo Fungarino for the score. Lee really taking that point on, and the big huck, and then the final throw.
Yeah, absolutely. You could see he had a wide open reset to Varney as well, and he was just kind of not even bothering looking at it, knowing he had more time in the stall count, and he could fit that in with that lefty. Really, really nice throw, really good huck. And as the play is developing, you can see that Alba were taking away the unders. That was their main focus. It was a big pull, pin them in the end zone, take away the unders. Every single Alba player was underneath their mark. So clearly they're trying to muck things up and force errors in the attacking half of the field. But that obviously does leave you open, particularly with someone the height of Phipps, to being beaten over the top.
What I liked as well was the huck was from the same third as the cutter, the throw release, but Lee put a lot of arc on it, allowed Phipps to track it the whole way. So that's what we mean when you involve multiple thirds in a long throw. So overall, after a couple of passes in their own end zone, fairly comfortable.
Yeah, I think so. You could see Smash D not phased by that very, very tight Alba pressure, as you mentioned in the as it was going on. They were really in their faces, pinned them in the end zone and tried to get a turnover there. But yeah, like you say, dealt with it well. Good first point, good hold.
Let's see how the Scots respond. Able to get an under immediately. Stewart with the disc. And some nice smooth play again. Not forcing anything, but looking the wrong direction. An incredible layout grab. Tristan Mercer. Some would say gratuitous, others would say necessary. You got to lay down the law. And a high release flick just to keep the styling going. Wants the move back. Can't get free. That is an awful lot of pressure. Edgar eventually able to get it back into the middle. Mercer offhand and Smash D. The overthrow, 22-22. Lovely done. Gihero to Nixon. We've got Nixon and an Agnew on the pitch, so we'll watch out for that partnership. Of course, they are at odds in this eventuality. Edgar back with the disc. Breaks it around to Mercer as he waits for somebody to make a cut that isn't heavily covered by a dark blue jersey. Eventually he goes with the beautiful over the top, just showing off and getting it done. Hamilton with the goal.
Another really nice offensive possession by Smash D. They're not phased by the pressure, not phased by kind of, you can see Alba poaching, dropping bodies into lanes, making things comfortable, but Smash D worked through it really well. I think that was probably a fairly late stall option, but for a late stall option, he's executed that absolutely beautifully.
Tristan Mercer with two, I would even go as far as to say 3 highlight plays over the course of that point. That throwaway maybe it's harsh to call it a throwaway. Mercer had to make a huge layout grab to get the interception, but the fact that the disc was even in there was a miscommunication.
Yeah, definitely. Williams is looking for Dick. Dick has moved into the lane to kind of that inside throw, and as Williams is looking at him, he's thinking it's not coming. He's turned around to go as Williams has gone to take the option. I think if Mercer doesn't make that layout bid, Dick can probably recover and come back to it, but Mercer did a great job, absolutely great job, just throwing himself at it, setting out the standard pretty early on that you need to be perfect because we are going to be able to take things away from you if you're not.
And then on the offensive side, you guys will need to pay a little bit more heads-up attention because we're going to throw some dicey hirelings flicks.
Yeah. Always good to throw that out there early on.
you gotta set out your stall early.
Yeah.
It's 9:05 in the morning. Welcome very much here to YouTube and to Nottingham for UKU Nationals. Got a great day of action across open, mixed, and women's divisions. We'll be here all for the next 2 days. 5 games for you today, all available for free. As we can see, early mistakes, will they prove costly for the Scots? Big fake, but decides not to throw it. Of course, that is the returning Terry. And there's the big shot straight out of the hand. Fantastic space created on the deep cut and acreage to move into. McNeil chasing it down.
Alba, all they were looking at there was creating a downfield matchup. That is all they were doing. You could see different types of movement to try and isolate people in space. Cammy Agnew had space at one point, but the mark took it away. Disc moved from Joel Terry over to this side, and Cammy went again, but Ali McNeil had already gone. Ali McNeil, captain of the team this year, great throw from Boxall, put him into the end zone. A really, really good hold from Alba. They really needed that.
So coming out, and sometimes the direct route is the best one, like you say. They're just trying to get somebody into a power position and a well-timed deep cut.
You can see Agnew there has space as well.
Before he started jogging.
Before he started jogging, saw Ali McNeil had the space and just left him to it. But that's Agnew and Terry both out on that line. They're definitely both D-line players for Alba this year. So Alba had one break against them and they brought out the big guns.
I like that. Stop the bleeding early. You've conceded once, you get no second chance at it. Let's get out some veterans and not let it be a big deficit. 2-1 and a different offensive approach, it seemed. They were very much using the unders with the O-line, but on that second attempt, just straight up looking for the long shot.
Yeah, I mean, you could that first possession for Alba, you could see they ran a pull play. All 4 people upfield, all went deep, and the far one came across to get the under. Tried to work from there on that, as you say, working unders, working the break side. With that one, it was just like, let's slap it deep, boys, and see what happens. And it worked out quite nicely.
How do you think that rolling pull worked out?
I think that worked out really nicely because you pin them on a sideline. Clearly, they've set something up because this is like a zony line trap look. You can see Terry is not really marking anybody, pointing people and handing people off. So clearly something they've worked on, something they feel good about. And it pinned Smashy fairly far down the field, but now they are up and running. They've lost some of the benefit for it already.
So nice recycling, Hill and Lee playing a big role as they traded it back and forth. And now here comes smashed Phipps. He got that first score for them. With the sky over Agnew, gets it to Lee. Lee already has one assist, wants another one, but gets a turnover, as that was a bit too lackadaisical.
Yeah, that was a very strange decision. Throwing it over a kind of group of people is never going to go well, particularly when he didn't throw it very hard, or really if he's beamed it over the top of them, it might work. But yeah, strange decision and could be an expensive turnover.
We will see as Sweeney with the disc, hoping to help Alba punish. A lot of bodies around. Eventually able to get the dump off, just about though. That some big defense from Lee and Phipps, and I thought maybe that got touched, but whatever it was, it didn't get it to the end of the smash D, or to the end of the Alba reception. So now Hill with the disc and an immediate big floating flick. Lots of bodies, lots of action, and only one man taking it down. Phipps pips them at the post.
Phipps is a large man. Sam Hill saw the target and thought, let's just put it up there and see what happens. 3 guys around him. 2 of them, I mean, Joel Terry plays for GB Open, Cammy Agnew plays for GB Mixed. That's a talented group of guys that he's just skied without really looking in too much discomfort. The decision you could, I suppose, question a little bit, but when the outcome is as good as that, who cares?
It's one of those younger player moves, and also I think deep in the blood veteran moves where you're like, I know that guy. He's probably going to pull this down. I throw this all the time at training.
Yeah.
And normally that doesn't work out once you get to Nationals.
You see it in other sports, though, don't you? You see it in American football, for example, where a quarterback's like, "I know my guy's down there somewhere. I'm just going to put it up, and I trust him to bring it down." And you can see Phipps reads it. Up he goes. He goes up later than everyone else as well because he knows he can go up so much higher. Everyone else tries to get up there early to get in the way, and he's like, "Nah, you boys are all missing this. I'm just going to rip this down ahead of you."
Making it look very easy, despite all the defensive attention. So Alba will need to come up with a counterance to that. 3-1 to Smashed. Well, I've called Smash D for years, but for some reason today I just feel like Smashed works better.
You go Smashed, I'll go Smash D, and then definitely we're guaranteed to at least get it right some of the time.
Well, as long as we're getting it wrong some of the time too, you know?
Yeah, true,
It's important to annoy people, I find. Early stages, though. Smashed coming out, very passionate, really wanting this. They've been warming up since half 7. Let's see how Alba can kind of get themselves back into this. Boxall already has an assist. It's nice cutting patterns initially from Alba. There's the break back into the middle. The waiting hands of McNeil. And a huge hand block. The marks have been incredible. Cameron Nixon shutting that one down.
I think there's another pull play where they've isolated 2 people in the space. It was McNeil and Dickers this time, and worked it really nicely. There was a shot there available deep, but when the markers got the arms out, it's active, it's just so hard to throw around, and did a really, really good job shutting that down, obviously knocking it away. But even if that throw had gone, it would have been made much more difficult because of the activity of the force.
So that was Nixon getting that grab, and they're looking to give it back to him. Double happiness, hand block, and a goal!
Smash D are rolling. They are rolling right now. Everything they're trying is coming off pretty much. We had that one turner from Chun-Li. Other than that, they've been fantastic. They've been getting blocks, making everything difficult for Alba, taking away the kind of things they're trying to do. This is going very, very well for the young Southerners now, and it wouldn't be surprising to see Alba already considering whether we need to take a timeout, need to kind of stop the flow here. Doesn't look as though they are at the moment, although they are walking pretty slowly to the line.
Might be time for an early execution of the bagpipes.
Maybe.
Something to get the spirit rising back up. Right now, it looks to me that Alba have come out with some very well-designed patterns that just aren't working.
The problem with the well-designed patterns, as is always the case, I mean, the whole thing about pull play is that you just want to create space somewhere and then play off your systems from there. But the problem with those kind of things is always, if that doesn't work, what do we do now? And Smash D are doing a great job of taking Alba off their first option, moving them onto their second one, making them think on their feet, have to work out what we do once this doesn't work. And at the moment, Alba, I think, maybe a little shell-shocked. They're not expecting maybe this level of pressure. They're not expecting this kind of frankly, execution from Smash D as well. It's one thing getting the disc off Alba. They're executing at a very high level now and really punishing them. Alba might not have been expecting to be in a game this tight, but they are, and they're going to have to adjust to it.
I don't think Nixon expected that throw to go up. It's one thing a thrower leading you. It's another one for you to have time to turn 270 degrees, then find the disc, then score.
Yeah.
As we see Alba back in their own end zone, and a little bit of a different look from Smash D.
Yeah, so it looks like an arrowhead to me. You've got one person on the force, 2 people dropped off there. They've got a very, very tall man in their deep space. That's Miller, I believe. But yeah, just pinning Alba again in their own end zone. We saw Alba do this on the first point. Smash D giving them some of their own medicine.
I feel like when you're playing against the zone, you really need a bit of throwing and going. As you can see, Terry timing that cut very effectively, gets it to Cleary. And a little bit of the 2-man game. You go immediately after your throw, and that way the defense can never comfortably settle against you. This is much better from Alba, working their way down the pitch, and a comfortable score in the end. I think that's what they expected of themselves. Cleary picks it up.
Definitely. You saw just as Alba started to break out of that, you could see Smash D started to point at people and take different I'm not sure about that, take different matchups and kind of hand people off and come out of the zone. You could see as they were coming out of it, I think it was Vinfar is running away from the disc, basically pointing at people, not realizing, I think, that there's a kind of jailbreak behind him. Once Alba had space, they ran through it. You see Steedman in the end zone there to Cleary. The defender gets pretty close there, and then I said, I'm not sure about that. The camera coming on Cleary after he scored the point, and the Smash D players running past him like with his fingers centimeters apart, just letting him know I was close. I don't think he was really that close. I think Cleary could have caught it much earlier than he did.
That's the thing, though. A lot of people like to milk him, chase him down a little bit, and I've seen guys get catch-up Ds on that. I wouldn't be letting him know.
No.
I would let that hubris grow.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably psychological warfare that's not really doing much for you. But I mean,
they're not called nuance, D.
no, they're not. They're really not. Nuance D. That's a good one.
Thanks, buddy.
On form early on. Well
Joe
done.
Terry with the big. I want to talk more about how he tore apart that zone. We will leave it for later on, as right now it's Hill with the disc and smashed with a nice quick play front of stack cut. Don't want the deep shot, instead going back. So early looks at some deep shots, but not forcing anything. Turville has Phipps, but oh, I really thought that was going to be a D from Jinx, but Phipps is too big, stays strong, and then gets the scoop back in. Quick play across, it winds up with Turville again in the middle. Smash D with these quick spurts of passes. Lee down the line. It's a lot of hard work right now for them anyway. And then a shot over and bops and collected. That towed the line. I think he was in. They're going to discuss it. I think they're going to be wrong to discuss it. Fungarino.
I agree with you. It looked to me like it was in, but we're just waiting for a replay now. That was a shot from Smash D to the big man. Phipps couldn't get his hand on it this time, but Fungarino is backing that one up. And it looked to me as though he just about towed it in. As you see, Phipps missed that. Fungarino gets his hands on that.
Ooh, where's that toe?
That toe could be on the line, you know.
Where's that toe?
That toe could be on the line. The players just waiting for an update on the replay, but to me, that you could tell me that his foot was on the line there, and I could believe you. That's very, very, very tight.
I really felt like when they were looking up at us and imploring us to reveal what had actually happened, there was a nice little power dynamic.
I was about to say, I felt like so powerful in that moment.
Emperor, who do you want me to spare?
Like Commodus, like thumb up or thumb down, and we had the thumb in the middle. You're gonna have to contest it.
Well, that's why the Roman Empire fell. No ability to compromise. As there's the cut. Lee, shimmy shakes, goes down, but they go right back into the middle instead. Turville can't finish the break move. Really great work on the defensive end to shut down that throw. Leading pass straight ahead. Fungarino able to center it back into the middle eventually. On the far sideline, Phipps, disc in hand, goes for a scooper. And it works! He can catch, he can throw, and Turville gets a score, 5-2.
Really nice patience from Smash D there. It's easy in those situations sometimes to just try and force one in, try a little inside channel or something, but no, kept it moving until they found an option. Obviously, it's a little bit speculative from Phipps, but he had so much space to throw into there. Like, it's not as though it's a contested scuba. He's been able to put it over the top into a space where Turville is not getting D'd there. The only thing that's happening is it's too far, but Turville turns on the jets, manages to reel it in, and it's another good hold from Smash D.
Really good form as well, as we're going to have another look. Watching this live, I thought Fungarino was well in. There, we just can't really tell. It's that left foot. Is that left foot on the line? It's definitely down, but I think toe might have been on the white.
Yeah, and I think probably looking at it, it wouldn't be a surprise for it to be on the line, but also we can't see for sure whether it is. So I think contesting, honestly, is probably the best call there. But good spirit from both teams talking about it and waiting to see if anyone had a better angle. Going back and Smash D executing well. They're doing a really good job of keeping up that execution because it's going to get hard. You could see Alba is still trying to take away all those underneath. They brought Stuart Jinx onto the line to tackle Phipps and took him out of the game a little bit, but he was still able to get space in the end zone. So that's going to be an ongoing battle, I think, for Alba.
I like that the two times you saw him engaged, one was him getting overshot slightly, meaning he's operating in small spaces, and the second time he's catching it outside the end zone. Like, all right, well, let's see if you can throw it. Turns out, yes he can. That was really good form on that scuba. And there's the pop back into it. Boxall. Alba. They need to get holds before they can start shortening this lead. They tore apart the arrowhead, but a different zone look almost. Yeah,
this is an arrowhead. This is more of a cup. This is basically a pull play stopper because you can see they're going to be coming out of it very, very quickly if they're not out of it already.
Still seeming to hold on to it a little bit. Oh no, they have gone straight to match. It was just a bit of a poach on Lindsay.
Yeah, I was just sagging on the handlers there.
And looking to go back. You got to throw and you've got to go in a lot of these situations. Andrew Dick, very comfortable with the disc in hand, a real leader for this team. Stainsby has got to be getting close to a full 10 right now. Eventually gets it to Boxall. And after earlier showings, just no cuts really coming from deep. Lindsay back to Boxall. has the swing immediately available, and again, now they're starting to actually gain yards on it. That was much better. Williams, Mercer getting very physical, already has a big D to his name. Clearly showing that energy and enthusiasm, but perhaps a bit too much.
Yeah, tries to lay out for a point block there. I think he has accepted that he's fouled him. Maybe it's just a discussion about what kind of contact was acceptable and what kind wasn't. That was interesting from Smash D, sagging on the marks, throwing in some FM, getting people in lanes. Obviously, it led to 2 very, very comfortable reset swings eventually, but there was a moment there where they were really generating pressure, and Alba weren't sure what to do with it.
Williams. And again, they're really staying on their shoulders on those unders, forcing these tough break throws that are high in the stall count. By that time, it works out. And now Stewart, again, he's looking for Williams. He finds him. Thinks about the hammer to Dick, takes it back. Another breakthrow again. They're asking a lot of their throwers on this near sideline, rather than making bigger cuts to make it easier for him. Boxall gets it, swings it all the way across, collected by Stewart. Boxall makes another move. Stewart leads him right in front of the end zone, looking for a bit of isolation. That is really good defense by Smashed. And again, just quick movement by Alba to come back in the opposite direction. Stainsby has Williams make one move, has Boxall make another. Forced to go back to Boxall, sacrifices some yards. But again, they're just rotating, not rushing, taking their times. They're trying to find the gap through. Stewart, isolation straight in front with Williams, goes to the blade over the top instead, and clap caught by Alistair McNeil.
Yeah, that was really interesting D again by Smash D. Smash D are really throwing some things at Alba here and making them think. There was several situations there where Mercer in the end zone is not really marking anybody, to be honest. He's just passing it around. He's just passing people off. He's staying in the kind of under open space, waiting for them to try and take that inside break. Like I say, there was points later in the points earlier in the point as well where he's not really marking anybody. He's just kind of freelancing around, looking to try and make things difficult. Smash D are asking a lot of questions of Alba. Alba in that point were able to keep it moving. 24 passes, just keep it going, keep it cycling. But they are having to work really hard, like you were saying, Lorcan. Like, these throws are not easy. They're being forced to make.
Even that blade decision over the top, there was some truly fantastic end zone defense from Wilf Hamilton. He got caught in an isolation right in front of the thrower a few times, used his body to stop the open side, his legs to stop the break.
Yeah.
Just textbook end zone defense, and eventually if that's the throw they need to beat you after you've kept them out for 2 minutes.
Yeah, you live with that for sure. Especially in, listen, it's not a terrible day today, but it's clearly overcast. Who knows? A blade like that, if even a slight gust of wind is going to knock that right off track. So if that's the throw they need to beat you, like you say, you take that every day.
Hill takes that one this morning and centers into the middle, the waiting form of Varney. 2-5, keeping it traditional. I like that. Back to Hill. Everybody's out here trying to get all fancy with their side stacks and split stacks and whatever, but no, just keep it 2-5 fundamentals. Lead with the disc. Near sideline. Phipps make a move in front of him. Sees him, feeds him. A little bit of a breakfast brunch. Contact back in the stacks. They're going to need to reset. Phipps with the disc in hand. Got 2 scores and an assist. Been huge for Smashed so far in this game.
Yeah, Alba have gone back to that same matchup they had the previous points. Stuart Jinks is most likely, I would guess, going to spend the rest of the game on him. He's probably Alba's best aerial defender.
See if he can limit. Phipps goes with the very spicy inside backhand break. Joe White style almost, but it doesn't work out. Turville does his best. I think if you have to reach back that far behind yourself in time to get a disc and you get fouled in the process, that's not it. You got to let that go. We have another look.
Steedman clearly gets a hand on it. I mean, he gets a hand on it. The contact there, in my view, I would say that's probably incidental. He gets a hand on it. There's very, very minimal contact from both people. Like you say, Turville is reaching back into that space as well. I would say that it's a turnover, but there's definitely contact. I understand what the discussion will be here.
So they are going to send it back. And that's the nature of the sport. That's the compromise that we all live by. Earlier on, debatable smashed goal. Now, debatable smashed turnover.
Yeah, I think so. And again, while I think that's a turnover, I think Steedman has got there in time and made a good play on it. I don't think that is an awful outcome. I think that you can clearly see there is contact. So going back, like you say, that's kind of the way the sport works. So
where should Steedman force Turville to go right now? Because that stall's got to be on at least 6.
Up the line, definitely up the line.
Oh, there was a huge swing available
Yeah,
to the opposite hands and the waiting arms of Varney. And then they're just giving up distance on these super dumps. They're all the way back behind their break now. Alba raise their voices as they try to raise the pressure on Smashed. And there's the dump back into the middle. Turville has the sideline and a remarkably free form of Hill. He's going to call it to come back. There's a travel on the Turville throw. I like to see that called, the travel to get around the break, because people do it constantly.
They do.
It very rarely gets called.
Open side travel, one of those things where I'm like, I have a very, very low tolerance for that call being made because it makes such little difference. But a throw like that, we have to get around a mark. It makes a big difference.
Yeah. I love the open side travel call. Don't travel. It's against the rules. And now they're able to get it to Hill. There's the deep shot. Doesn't want it, though. Just a bit too much attention in the form of Johnny Evans. Turville sends that, or receives that, sorry, from Hill. Alba really limiting options in a lot of deep in the stack, deep cuts, which are very difficult to throw to. Now that's a little bit better from Turville. Get that going. Sam Hill. The shoulder shimmy and then the low throw all the way across to Varney. Back into Hill. Hill to Turville. Right outside the end zone. They've gone this way, that way, forwards and backwards. And in the end, they get the goal. Fungerino picks it up.
One thing I think you can really tell that Smash D have been working on throughout the year is the reset play, and it's not so much the patterns they're running or anything else, it's the decisions they're making and how they're making them. You could see a few times there where there was one down kind of near halfway where Turville basically does the Ferdia Rogers from the EUCF final in 2022, I think it was, that they won, where basically he turns his back to the mark and just runs away. It's just a leading pass at that point. He ran one of those. There was a number where it was pretty well marked, tight force, tight mark on the dump, and instead it was a turn, look at the dump to initiate them, and then the immediate just put it out in space behind them so they can go and get it. That kind of decision making and that kind of fearlessness with the dump play is something we haven't always seen from Smash D in the past. It's definitely an evolution in their game. I wonder how much of it is kind of the added experience within the team. They've been around a little longer, they've played at the high level for a little longer. How much of it is going to be Cy Hill? As you see one of those kind of no hesitation resets there, which gets the disc moving and gets them right on the end zone line. But at the moment, that reset play is what is getting them out of jail every single time, and meaning that Alba can't put pressure on. Like you said, Lorcan, they went all the way back inside their own brick mark, and they didn't worry about that. They didn't mind about it because they're able to reset the disc and get a new stall count every 10 seconds.
That's the other side of it, isn't it? If you can force a team to go all the way back down the pitch, you want to be exerting pressure. And apart from limiting their deep options, because after every reset somebody from the back of the stack did seem to cut deep, they weren't limiting their downfield options. They were comfortable most of the time.
Yeah, you take away the deep, obviously that's good because that means they can't end points quickly. They could get tired. That's more opportunities for them to make a mistake and for you to get a bid on one of those underthrows. But at the moment, Smash D is just grinding those resets and making it really difficult on the Alba D as much as the Alba D is making it difficult on them.
So Alba needing to find answers, but the D-line is off right now to think it through as Stainsby picks it up from the break mark. And again, there's that early clear to get it to McNeil. And they're doing a good job of isolating single cutters. They get it to Dick, but they're not gaining huge ground. Thinking about the deep shot, saying no. Instead going to Boxall. Dick goes up the line. That's a nice inside break. And then he just sits that one. Plenty of time chase. McNeil gets big to bring it down.
Ali McNeil pretty much scoring all of Alba's points. Edge down spike afterwards. I think there's some contact. Maybe McNeil is not delighted about that one. There was also some contact in the point. I mean, McNeil went to turn to go deep at one point, and Miller just literally bumped him back with his chest. So this is getting to be a pretty physical game. I wonder how both teams are interpreting that contact. It doesn't look like it's too bad to me at the moment. It doesn't look chippy at all. So at the moment we're all good. But Alba, again, these holds, you mentioned it a couple times, Lorcan, where people having to work really hard to get free. I wonder whether these holds are kind of becoming harder and harder and harder, and whether we're close to a situation where Smash D might start getting another one of those turns if we see a bit of contact in the end zone.
Out of the two teams, you definitely feel like Smash D are the one closer to getting another break point.
At the moment, I think so, yeah. It looks as though Smash D are able to reset the disc pretty comfortably. It doesn't look like they're too uncomfortable or being put into too many uncomfortable situations, and then when they get on the break side, they're working it really nicely. They also have that downfield threat that Alba have been struggling to deal with, although since they put Jinx on Phipps, it seems to have been going better. Although Jinx not on this D point for Alba. But yes, I agree with you. I think Smash D looked to me to be a little closer at getting the next break.
Showing out different defensive looks as well. So you're talking about their dump resetting, which we'll probably get another nice little example of, and that is a confident way to field a pull. Very nice to see. Lee, as they try to match up against an Alba zone.
Yeah, it's a 4-person cup zone. You can see Cami Agnew's at the deep here, and again, I would imagine they're coming out of this relatively quickly. This is a pull play stopper, I would assume.
Always a good thing to do, just to limit the options immediately. Turville with the disc, calling for movement, gets it to Hill. Very confident looking sidearm break. Varney goes over the top. They are finding those pockets. I wouldn't go as far as to describe them as gaps. Let's call them dress pockets. Small and generally insignificant, but they make you feel good.
They are sewn up from time to time, but they're able to tear the stitching out to extend your metaphor to the absolute limits.
I'm glad you've decided to join me in Wordplay Corner. Generally, it's facts and fun, but we can mix it up between each other. Both these teams are competing in the EUCS and using this tournament for ranking. I'm going to stick to the metaphors.
I don't have a pocket joke about EUCS ranking at the moment.
We'll see if Turville and Lee have looked. Lee, Turville, Hill, Bernard Sanchez, they've all looked fairly comfortable right now, despite the fact they're about 15 passes up and about 15 yards down the pitch.
Yeah, and Alba's staying in that zone as well. Clearly this is the plan. I thought it was going to be coming out of it relatively quickly, but this is a kind of a 4-2-1 almost. You can see 2 players in the middle there rather than your usual 1. This is really just cutting off downfield to make it as difficult as possible to progress it.
Seems to be trying to push their brakes, but that fantastic throw from Phipps across to Hills unlocked it. Now they're just rolling. Lee has a chance to finish it. Doesn't jump it straight in, but throws on the second time to Bernard Sanchez. That was brilliant.
Yeah, that was really, really good zone play. You could see, like you said, Lorcan, they seem relatively comfortable because they're able to move it around the handlers pretty well. And as soon as they got that, they opened up. As soon as Phipps got that throw over the top and they found some space, they were able to run it through very, very quickly and very effectively. And again, making good decisions, because it's really easy once you find a bit of space to throw something a little aggressive to try and keep the disc moving as quickly as you can. But they did smart stuff, kept it moving in a very, very repeatable and safe way, and they eventually got a pretty straightforward score out of it.
So that was immediately after the throw. And you can even see, once he got thrown over, Jonah Varney was making the cut for the next pass off Hill. So they are moving together, and then this move by Lee to refuse that pop into Phipps. Yeah, that's good decision making.
It is, and then Phipps as well, just throwing it straight back to him. It would have been easy for Phipps to see Chun Lee there, turn around and go, well, you just run into the end zone and pop it off so you can kind of run in there. Alba players would have been streaming towards him at that point. So, you know, that would have made it a kind of a more risky pass, but instead straight back to him, and they were able to kind of keep it moving. And get a really easy score.
So you can see here Smashed racking up the amount of completions on almost every possession. They're going more and more. So 8-6, there was a turnover 8-2. Then the last 3 have been 14, 18, and 26. If anything, getting more comfortable as the game goes on.
Yeah, it's still only the 1 turnover, which again was that odd decision from Lee going into the end zone, and they were able to get that back and put it in anyway.
Almost felt like a callback to the way they used to play, and then everyone went, no,
Yeah,
we've worked all year on not doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's been brilliant.
He has.
Lee has been one of the shining stars of this Smash D team, so don't want to just feel like I'm calling him out. And you want to talk about shining star for Alba maybe falling out of the sky, much like that hammer. Mercer picks it up straight away. Perhaps a little bit too eager, perhaps just eager enough. Vin Farr gets it back to Mercer. There's the pass, looking for the completion just outside of the end zone. This is to take it in. Sozi, Alba crowd. Some would say mug almost on the front corner. That has to be a foul call. You're not allowed to attack people. This isn't ice hockey.
Yeah, it looked as though there was two people throwing themselves in there to try and stop that score on the front cone. If that is a foul, I think it's going to be coming back. But made it at least tough for Smash D after the turnover. Alba, the O-line having to play some D here.
So you can see here Sozi with the disc. We caught just the tail end of it.
pretty clearly a foul in my opinion. I mean, you see
You can say that louder, Sean. You don't have to whisper it to me.
you see a guy come in on the near side there. I think his mark is Leon Williams, who's behind him. I can't quite see who it is on the front there. So has come in and basically 31 there has come in and tried to make a play on the disc. You know, you understand what he's doing, but I think he's caused contact. Gregor Stewart, and I think that is a foul.
Yeah. I mean, yes, right?
I mean, yes.
Yeah. Some things are just things. You know, things, sometimes it's just a fact.
Let's maybe call that down to them. Listen, lads, some things are just things.
If you can, you can.
Yeah. I would assume now what they're talking about is whether that turnover would have happened anyway.
I do think without the contact, you were not throwing it into double coverage.
I know. Or over the top or whatever.
That's a classic example of a bailout foul.
Yeah.
I don't love it, but it's a fact. Like, look, we were within the time you fouled me in the rules. We get that should at least be a fresh 10 on the force, right? So, like, this is a foul during play.
Yeah.
Like you see it sometimes, like guys go up and get fouled, but as they get fouled, they drop the disc, or they drop the disc then get fouled, because that's a little different.
Yeah, it is. But then without the foul, the player's a bit more open. Maybe says he throws that, doesn't actually throw the reset that ended up being a turnover. It looks like it's come back for a fresh 10, which I think is probably the best outcome here.
So it goes back to Soze. For a second I thought it was Dick, and I was like, didn't he just throw a hammer turnover? And that was like a point ago.
He's on the mark here.
So Sydney Soze right in front of the end zone. That throw from Mercer initially, I thought he was trying to lead Soze to the front corner, but Soze really smart, just attacked it early, didn't want to take any chances. Smashley are not leaving things up to fate right now. They are taking full control. Much better dump to Mercer. Goes to the offhand backhand, it pops and goes in. Everything is going right. That is the correct way to celebrate, Hamilton.
When things are working, they are working. Some things are just things, and that goes straight through the hands of Vinfar. But who is it? It's Hamilton, Will Hamilton, able to clean it up behind. I don't really have too much to say about that other than sometimes when you're playing well and you're creating your own luck, things come off for you. And at the moment, Smash D are really creating their own luck. And you can see this throw is definitely for Vinfar. But that is an 8-4 lead, and Smash D taking half. Looking very, very good.
Mercer's a little bit loose with those throws sometimes, isn't he?
He is. He likes to throw some kind of slightly spicy contested looks, keep that disc moving and take chances, but he takes chances defensively, and they've been paying off so far in the first half as well.
Smash D have taken their chances when they've come, but more importantly, they've held firm and resolute the rest of the way, and as a reward, they are currently up as we go into half. The Southerners 8 and Alba 4.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ulti.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, this game is more than just a pool game in the UKU Championships, which are, of course, very important. It's also a part of the EUCS qualifying series, as both these teams have elected to use this tournament. Can you take us through that in a bit more detail, Sean?
Yeah, so Smash D and Alba, as you say, have both elected to use this for EUCS. You can see here now, just underneath the scoreboard, the expected score is 15 to about 12 to Alba. Alba with that record, you see they're 2-6, so they're going to be close to getting their requisite 10 games. Smash D also with 8 games, 4-4. But that rating for both those teams is very, very different. Smash D ranked 40, Alba ranked 22. The top 16 teams in Europe are going to EUCF. Alba coming in with that 2-6 record, that is based off going to Elite Invite, playing a lot of really good teams. They know they need to improve that record. Obviously ranked 22, that's not going to be good enough. So they've already thought about what they need to win game by. Now, this game is a 15-12. At the moment, obviously, that is not good for Alba. That's really going to affect their algorithm score. But they have already talked about internally what they need to do to qualify for Euros, what they need to beat each team by, how they need to make sure that they are not only winning by the expected score, but pushing that score further out to improve their rating, because it's an important part of the season this year. There's no immediate, one game to win to qualify for Euros. It's all of your games added together. So this first half is very much not what they needed, because this is going to make even more work for them in the rest of the games in this tournament if they do go on to lose this one.
I'd also like to extend an invitation to everybody who is watching. Please leave us your thoughts on what you think of the new EUCS ranking system. We know that they are reviewing it after implementing it, and they want to hear the pain points. They want to hear, much like this, the great moments it creates, because now we're here on a Saturday morning watching what to an extent feels like a game to go for both these teams.
Yeah, it's really important, because at this point, Smash D, even if they go on to win this by 1 or 2, it doesn't really matter. If they win this game, this is going to help them hugely. Whereas Alba at this point know that if they win this game 11-4 in the second half, and they win 15-12 overall, that means that is only just about on serve. So they need to win this second half by a mile.
And it is not starting off the right way. And Dick, what a rescue play! That's why he's a talisman.
That is an absolutely fantastic grab. The throw to McNeil, he short-armed it. It wasn't far enough out. McNeil had so much space going deep, but instead it was short-armed a little bit, rolled in towards him. He couldn't get his hand on it, but Dick flying to go and rescue that one.
And you think McNeil, Agnew involved in something, that's going to work out well for Alba. And again, just that slight little execution error. Rescued by an incredible play by Dick.
And maybe that is the thing that Alba need. They need something a little out of the blue, something a little out of the ordinary, something to kind of push them a little more. You see Agnew moves that disc on. Stewart, you can see the angle's just not quite right. It gives Vimfire a chance to get back into it. But then backing that up, what a catch that is by Dick. Although, I mean, you saw as he caught it, some paint go up from the end zone line. Is there a potential he's not in there, do you think, Lorcan?
I feel like that's the kind of thing we'll let people notice later.
Yeah.
If Alba storm back into this and are actually able to win it,
it's the on-the-line goal that is dragged them back into it.
And we'll start having to review, all right, well, was Fungiano in earlier on, or was that actually a foul?
Yeah, true. But yeah, Alba needs something, that little spark. Maybe that's the thing.
That could be it. That could be it. Barely holding on to an offensive point, thanks to a huge play from one of your best players.
Take it where you get it.
I mean, look, that very frequently is the thing that spurs you on. They are yet to get a break. They've gotten one turn so far, and it was more thrower error than it was defensive pressure. So what can they do to limit Smash D? Turville's able to get it to Hill with that loping break, and there's the lackadaisical throw. He's trying to get it back into the middle, I think to Bernard Sages, but stepping through and getting the block. Great heads-up play by Timothy Groves. And now walking to the disc, Cameron Mackey with a chance to bring this back together. Doesn't like the shot to the back of the end zone. Instead, goes into the middle. Terry. Mackey. We'd be surprised they didn't just play a little bit of isolation here with a few of them. But instead, they go to Cleary. Back to Mackey. So Cleary, Terry, and Mackey seem to be running the beginnings of a dominator. But it might be as a consequence of Smash D peeling off to cover the end zone. They're poaching the help where they can. Cleary with the disc. And a foul called.
Yeah, it looks like that was on Joel Terry. I think Varney getting a little tight. I agree with you. Looking, it looked like they were running a dominator, but then there's people kind of keep coming into that set.
Cleary. Looking for somebody, anybody, please. Get free. Help me out. Evans. Leads and just a little bit too far from Cleary. And Smashed get it back. Lee. Waiting for someone to make a move in the middle of the pitch. Eventually forced to go with the dump back to Varney. I'd like to maybe review Varney's marking of Terry outside that end zone. As he loads up and goes for a big shot himself, but it is batted down. Fantastic stuff from Evans. So again, another bit lackadaisical shot. Terry has the disc, tries to lead Mackey, somehow steals that away. I don't know how Fungiano didn't get on it, and Terry again takes from just in front of Lee. It's getting awfully close. What was that signal that they did earlier on?
Yeah, you're right. They did do that like very, very close signal, but there's two absolute hospital passes there. Like the one to Mackie, I cannot believe he caught that. That looked to be no angle at all for that. And the pop out in front, we talked about how Smash D didn't do that in that far corner down there. They were calm, they moved it back, they carried on, waited for a bigger space. That one was just put it out there, and Joel Terry, there was bodies on both sides there. That must have been pretty intimidating to try and go and get, but a point where it's a multi-turnover point and the turnovers are forced, right?
Yep.
Blocks, both of them. So that is exactly what Alba needed. You said beforehand that they hadn't had any of that in the game so far. Second half already looks like Alba have been able to switch it on a bit.
So we're going to have a quick look back at those turnovers. So this was the first one. Almost seemed a little lackadaisical from Hills. He tried to throw it back in. And there's the quick step through block. You can see here just overthrowing, looking for Cleary, but not a man to rest on his laurels, getting up very big and getting it back. And then just talk us through this. As a coach, what do you see here?
So you see he puts it into that space. Fungarino, though, is so close. And then you can see Fungarino's getting up. Chun-Li's coming in. And Joel Terry just gets there ahead of them. That is the kind of thing where... That is not the kind of thing you would probably program out to tell people what to do. But that is just players trusting each other and trusting their abilities and getting a score, to be honest. Whereas the block from Evans is exactly what I want to be telling people to do. Keep your eyes on the disc if you're in the middle of the stack and you know you're going to be inactive. You know your person's not going to be moving. Keep your eyes on the disc and see if you can affect anything. And that's exactly what Evans did. Did a great job of it.
Bit of the history between Mackie and Terry coming to the fore with a bit of that trust throw.
Been playing together for years and years and years. Both original Alba players. Both went to university in Glasgow, I believe. I think Terry was at University of Glasgow. I think Mackie was at Strathclyde, but known each other for a long time.
Those Glasgow folk pulling together. It's just a bit of a discussion. Is that a brick or is he taking it from the line? That is Lee with the disc. I would have said on the line.
I would have thought that was in. The shape of the disc, I would have thought that was in personally, but it looks like there's some discussion and there's some level of agreement that it's landed in.
A lot of discussion, so the talk's starting to extend as the score contracts.
I don't think any of these discussions have been badly spirited. They've had a lot of them, though. It seems like both teams are doing a good job of resolving things on the field. And that is a contested brick, so he's taking it from the center of the end zone. You do not see that very often.
That is, I don't think I've ever seen that before. Oh, I wanted Lee to send that immediately so bad. But he chose to put it back in the pocket, send it to Phipps on the far sideline. Some movement. Turville eventually is going to take a hard break throw, and instead they miscommunicate. Evans with another block. Does he force it to box? All he does! I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to you.
That is goal. That is Boxall jumping to try and get it, dropping it, and then turning around his right shoulder, realizing it's still there, organizing his feet, and then catching it. The difficulty of that is so extraordinarily high. If he'd meant to do it, there's no way he'd be able to do it. But he's been able to do it on the fly, work it all out. As you see here, Phipps goes around, but Turville's not looking for it. And you could say that throw there is on, and then he leaves it a little late. That makes it difficult.
There he is.
Out.
I think he's out of bounds.
But then that left foot is in. Oh, no.
Oh, I think he jumps from out of bounds and lands in catching it. I think that was out of bounds.
I thought he organised his feet, but I think you're right, Lorcan. I think he jumps from on the line with that right foot and catches it before his left foot's down. So that should be out according to the rules. But obviously they don't have the replays that we do. They've worked it out in the field.
I mean, they kind of do, technically.
They do. But they've been having good discussions with both teams, and that is one of the things that happens sometimes where there's no way that Boxall has done that intentionally, obviously. He probably would have preferred to have caught it at the first try. But both, they've talked about things, they've worked it out. The spirit, despite the fact there's been a lot of calls, it doesn't, like I said earlier, there's been no fractiousness. So sometimes that happens, and that is just a nice outcome for Alba, who are rolling at the start of the second half. I said they needed to really turn it on to get back in that ranking zone, and at the moment they're doing a good job of it.
A lot of short field turns, so look out for the way that they are pressuring the people on the left-hand side of your screen, as a bit too much arm on that throw. A big difference between being in the back of the end zone and being at the brick mark.
Big difference. You can see as we pan kind of back into the center of the field, you can see the flick flag and the discraft flag kind of fluttering. The wind is going very much left to right here. that one pushed a little too far by Terry. As you say, now coming all the way up to the brick mark is going to be a boon for the Smash D offense, has been struggling to get those shorter movements that they were thriving on in the first half.
We were singing the praises of their dump resets in the first half, and they seem to have disappeared in the second as Hill goes to Turville. Doesn't like the option down the line, and a little bit of poach defense shuts off Bernard Sages as well. So the stall count gets higher all the time, throws it behind a blind Cleary. And now Bernard Sages is able to get it. Has Mercer. Mercer immediately shut off by Mackey. Alba have ratcheted up this defense at every opportunity. There's the big shot. High release looking for Hill. There's bodies in the area, and it's a blue boy getting the block, who is exhausted, collapsing onto the ground. That's Evans again.
Yeah, Evans read that perfectly, came on, looked like there was some small level of contact. Evans and Hill have both stopped. I would imagine that's coming back to, that's not going to stay with Mackey. That's probably going to come back to Terry because two players stopped out of bounds. But I'm glad that everyone's fine and the level of contact was all good. But as you said, it looks as though Alba are poaching a little more. They're sagging a little more in the lane and making those resets harder. And now with those resets harder, Smash D taking more chances downfield, and Alba are getting success on both ends.
Looks like the disc will be staying with Mackey. Doing a good job of converting these chances as well. The first two times they got turnovers, they gave it back. Now they've been punching it in on some short field turns. Can they go the whole pitch? Agnew goes down the line and falling to his knees in prayer, if not in thanks. Steedman back in the middle. Terry across to the far sideline. And this is tireless work. Agnew back across Steedman. He goes again. He is absolutely taking Nicholas Houghton for a walk out there. Cleary looks for Agnew once more, and he steps up and gets the goal. That was, we call that sunning.
We do. That was a very, very good point from Agnew. You also saw a typical Cammy Agnew spike there. Fakes the edge down and then just tosses it in the air. Getting the team going. You can see Alba's energy is much more. I'm sure you can hear that in the background just as we can hear that. The bagpipes going again. 8-8. Alba flying. 4-0 since half. They needed that run in the second half, and they have absolutely got it. They're bringing over O-line players as well. Like Cleary is an O-line player, and he was on the D-line for that one.
Gotta say, is it a chicken and egg thing? Does the bagpipes play and it inspires them to play better, or do they play better and the bagpipes start playing?
What I say is just play them and then we'll work it out later.
So you have another look. There's the big shot coming out of the hands of Fungarino. But Evans, who has just been a dynamo on defense this half.
He has.
That wasn't his receiver. That was just cover defense.
I think he's peeled. Yeah, I think he's peeled off the back of the stack there. It's just a great spot.
And look, God bless and good luck to Nicholas Houghton, but Cameron Agnew showing why he's one of the best players in GB. The moves, every move he makes is so aggressive and so dangerous, you have to react to it, even though he's only maybe moving at 20-30%, and he just was shaking Houghton the whole time.
Absolutely. And even some of the throw from Steedman to Agnew. Agnew hasn't got that much separation. The throw's perfect. Agnew reads it immediately and is able to accelerate to catch it, to give himself plenty of space. And that's the kind of thing Steedman and Agnew have played together again several years. They're on the GB mixed training squad together. Steedman, a training squad player, and Agnew, as I said earlier, one of the captains of the team. That's the kind of thing chemistry gets you sometimes, but the chemistry of this Alba team at the moment really coming through, whereas Smash D, who looked like they were firing all cylinders, they need to kind of come back to the drawing board and figure out a plan to get back on the board here.
I was ready to write the eulogy for Alba's European hopes, but 4 points in a row, and they've come right back. Varney under a lot of pressure, looking for Turville. He's got deep cuts. They all started late. That doesn't matter. He throws it anyway. The D defender got lost, and that is picture perfect. Collected by Meyer Smith.
Yeah, Leon Williams, another O-line player coming over for Alba. I don't think he expects that to come because, like you said, that throw was unusually late. You wouldn't expect a throw like that to come after a couple of seconds on the disc, but Meyer Smith is already pretty deep. But the disc goes up. It's an absolutely great throw in the end.
Honestly, watching the deep cut mature, I was thinking the exact same thing as Williams. Like, if you put that up, that is 100% going to get D'd.
Yeah.
But Williams just kind of does that fateful half stop. And then when you try to start again, you're too many steps behind. And like you say, a perfectly placed throw.
Yeah, really good execution in the end. And they Smash D.
Needed that.
They've been taking more chances downfield than we saw in the first half, but that one has paid off. And now maybe they get their D-line back out there. Alba, they have been flying. Their momentum stopped a little bit. They're like, the O-line's pressure back on them now. If we don't execute, D-line have done a really good job, getting us back to this situation. But if they don't execute, then, you know, we're back to kind of square one.
Well, tell me this. If you're bringing O-line players over onto the D-line, if you bring O-line players over onto the D-line and it helps be a part of the run, are you as scared when your O-line finally comes out? Because traditionally, your D-line goes to run to get you back in. The O-line are coming out there very nervous.
I don't think it's even a personnel thing, because some of those, like Cammy Agnew is on here, he's been playing D-line for them, but obviously he can play both ways, plays O for Great Britain. But it's more a case of, like, we know now that the pressure's more on us. When you're out there for a D-line, you're like, well, let's get the block and see what we can do with it. Whereas now, if we don't score this, then we're putting ourselves back into some bother.
I always feel like it's the weight of letting down the D-line after all their effort.
Absolutely.
That's why I could never play offense. Huge throw from Boxall, finding Agnew. Just making that 6/7 of that zone completely irrelevant. And now they are off to the races. Leon Williams showing his O-line prowess, working with Agnew. Goes for the hammer all the way over the top and absolutely acres. Things looking a lot easier for Alba, 9-9.
We said in the first half that Mercer has been taking chances defensively, where he's zoned up a little bit in the end zone and even kind of out of the end zone where he kind of tries to get in the way. And that there, you saw a chance that doesn't pay off. He tries a layout to try and get a hand block to stop a homeboy between Williams and Agnew, gets it completely wrong, and that just means that they get another extra 15-20 yards, gets Leon Williams in a position to throw that hammer for a score. Sometimes those chances don't pay off, and they were paying off in the first half. They're not in the second.
I still like that bid from Mercer. I think in those jailbreak situations where two guys are homeboying or ISO, just like 1-2 ladder, whatever you want to call it, back and forth, the most dangerous place to get the block is from behind them.
It is.
They are so obsessed, like looking forward and keeping moving, that their mind almost switches off. And I have seen a lot of people get some chase down blocks by running in between the two. And it's notably one of the best kind of blocks to get against when you're using zone is once they break through the front of the zone the first time, as you try to recover, get that D. And I see a lot of people give it up rather than going for that block. So I like to see Mercer go for it.
I agree that that's a really important way to try and get a block. What I would dislike about that is that he completely sold out and laid out, then he's out of the play. Now they can carry on.
Understandable management of resources that you would expect from a national coach. I'm just here for the highlight plays. As we see Houghton gets it down the line to Varney. Varney across to Lee, although there is a foul called, so it's going to go back to Varney, I'd say.
Yeah, it's just a tangling of legs between Phipps and Mackey. Phipps cut, and basically I think he maybe stepped on Mackey's foot or something. No ill feeling or anything there. It's just an accident.
Yeah, just a little bit of soreness in the foot. So you were expecting Jinx to stay on Phipps for most of this game. They swapped Mackey over.
Yeah, and we've barely seen Jinx in the second half, to be fair. I wonder whether there's some level of injury or something, because he's usually one of their most important defensive players, but we've barely seen him play, and they're having to rotate different guys on him.
Big D-line run as well. You'd expect him to be a part of it.
Exactly.
Oh, and there it goes. Bernard Sage, he sends it downfield, but it was never coming back in enough. Nice pressure and presence by Steedman.
Yeah, you can see that the disc is kind of fading away from Varney the whole time. There is a bit of contact as it gets there, but I don't think that changes anything. Steedman is the favourite for that the whole way, gets in front, knocks it away. That's just good heads-up D, and Varney takes an injury sub, comes off, and on comes Fungarino for smash D.
An interesting decision, but probably one born of necessity rather than strategy.
Yeah, very small angle there. I think you're right. That's another situation of a little bit of panic, and Alba taking the opportunity to bring on their main O-line handler, Boxall, to try and put in this D-line point and put them ahead for the first time in this game, right, Lorcan? I don't believe they've been ahead at any point.
No, they haven't. You're right. They went 2-0 down to start. They've been chasing the game ever since. I just wanted to check out Boxall. He does have a goal and an assist so far, that big huck in the first half. That's what stands out in my memory, working with Terry. Said, real offensive leader, real defensive leader. Lee doesn't care if you're the main handler in Scotland. Give me that disc. But now Alba, they get through the first few throws and they're starting to move. Terry has the option to launch it to clear. He doesn't want the throw to Mackey either. And Lee is making Boxall work for it at least. This is really good dump defense. And then there's Terry just trying to do a bit of face marking and fantastic inside flick. That was a difficult throw to get off. Probably shouldn't have worked, if I'm honest. Evans, that man who's gotten so many blocks so far in this game, I believe 3. Goes back to Boxall. Comfortable leading pass over the top to Terry. And then he... I'm pretty sure that's because his grandmother once cursed
Maybe.
a traveling salesman or something to that effect. I don't know what happened there.
The real Mayo football team stuff there. It looks like he's tried to like reposition his hand to throw the blade around the back to Mackie and just dropped it.
And there's a huge shot from Turville. He's looking in huge amounts of space. Ricardo Fungerino brings it down.
Yeah, don't know whether there's miscommunication there. Steeman's looking around, whether there was a switch that didn't work. He wasn't on Fungerino originally, so maybe there was, but yeah, that throw from Terry. Mackie points to the back corner. He's got so much space. Terry puts his left hand on the disc, pumps it, puts his left hand on, and then goes, actually, no, I am going to throw that, and must have just repositioned it wrong. Out it comes, and that was such a good opportunity for the Alba D-line. They've been working it really well as the Alba D-line gathers in the middle of the field to talk about it. But this throw, another throw from Turville, that is on the money.
Showing why he is so respected, so feared. Coming into this, I think a lot of the chatter, when you're looking at the Smash D handler set, was about Sam Hill, rising power. You do not want to look past Turville as well. They form quite the partnership.
Yeah, they're both playing really, really well, as is Lee. We've talked about him. You talked about him in the last point.
Both sides as well. Both sides. That defensive pressure he's putting on Boxall.
Yeah, he was playing really, really well. Boxall been getting free, you know, all season, was getting free all season last year when he played for GB Mixed. He was playing really, really well as one of their main D-line handlers, but Chun Li kind of put the clamps on him, made it difficult, and did a really good job of making Alba have to grind for everything, and now it's 10-9 to Smash D.
And we are back after a little bit of NIMBYism on the sidelines.
Turn that music down, children.
Not on my sideline! As we see Alba trying to tie this game back up. And a nice little bit of quick play. Dick doesn't want that deep shot. Puts it back in the pocket. Respecting the Smash defenders as they help out in the deep space and continue to do so. So just a little bit of back and forth for Williams. He gets it down the line eventually to Boxall. Didn't think that throw would come off, but it did. So nice play by McNeil. Gets it across to Agnew. Agnew doesn't want that pop straight in. Doesn't like the look to Williams either. Stall count keeps going up. Eventually he's able to get it back to Boxall. So you can see the clamping being done by Smash D as they try to work together. I really like that as an end zone defensive look. The Scuba over the top to Stainsby. Unlocks it to an extent, but they're able to recover. It's non-Newtonic. You're soft and then you're hard, and then you're hard and then you're soft as you swap responsibilities.
For God's sake.
Agnew. To Stewart, and then Stewart somehow finds that gap, and that wasn't a traditional spike.
It wasn't. That's another, I think, knowing Cami Agnew a little, I think that's another annoyed spike, to be honest, because that Smash D player has come in completely from the blind side. There is obviously no contact, but it's always risky when you do that. But another good point from Alba's O-line. They look a lot more comfortable now. The bid did come from Ricardo Fungerino, who has been an O-line player for the rest of this game, right? But they brought him over there to mark Ali McNeil, who's obviously been Alba's main downfield threat offensively in this game so far. As we see a replay of the score, you see Fungerino coming kind of from the blind side there. 10-10. I think there's no contact. It's a perfectly clean play, but
seems like Agnew that time faked the calm put down and
yeah,
went with
and
the edge spike.
actually no. But yeah, Alba putting it in much more comfortably now. It seems like the tables have turned in that regard, but we are 10-10, and if
It's
you
a popular French cartoon character.
10-10, 10-10. Why did I repeat it, for God's sake?
I know, right? I can't believe you fell into that.
Walked right into it. Jeez,
it's going to be a long day, Sean.
It's early in the morning, folks. But I was going to say, if you remember that EUCS graphic, 15-12 is the expected score. We are creeping ever closer to it, so Alba really needs to turn this on now, or they're going to be losing points in the algorithm. Smashed
were ranked 40th and definitely want to make an appearance at the EUCS as well, so they know a 15-12 win for them could really turn their fortunes around. The gap between 40 and 20 is about the same as the gap between 20 and like 14.
Yeah.
So a couple of wins here or there and you're right back into the competition. That was a great grab by Turville. I don't know how he held on to it. Gets it back to Lee. Just a little bit of recycling between them as they wait for options downfield. Phipps really being forced under by Mackie to effect. He was tearing them apart earlier in the game. He leads one. That was really nicely taken down. I didn't think Varney would be able to hold on to it. Varney back to Lee. Lee has Phipps. Doesn't want it. Really nice work on the force by Groves. Lee makes a move just to clear out. Bernard Sages gets it back, sends it to Turville. Keeps the flow going to Varney, gets it straight back. Now they're outside the end zone. This is the crucial moment. Phipps knocking on the door, and it is answered by Varney.
Yeah, good work by Smash D to stay calm there, because you had Joel Terry roaming around trying to find a way to get a block. At one point he jumps out of his matchup with Turville to try and get a hand on something, but that gets blown and the disc goes to Turville. He's kind of roaming around. He was barely even looking at Turville at that point. He's just trying to find a place to make a difference. That Smash D has been really, really good. Was really good in the first half of resetting the disc, and they went back to that here. They were just moving it nice and calmly, taking on the open options, taking on the options that they knew were safe. And it comes back to Sam Hill, who's been doing a really good job as kind of the safer quarterback here, while Christian Turville is taking chances downfield. And that nice, easy open score at the front of the end zone, while, as I said, Alba are looking for ways to get a block.
I think when Smash D are at their best is when they have that linchpin handler who isn't looking downfield at all, is literally just catching from one wing and sending it to the other as soon as possible. Like I say with Turville, generally he'll chase that a little bit more. He'll get the throws off quickly, but then follow them, clear out the space. But as long as somebody is in that position playing that role, then it just keeps everything flowing and keeps allowing them to change their point of attack. Like you say, Alba are looking for opportunities, and when they take those chances, Smashed have been really good at punishing them for taking the chance. Boxall throws it out to Leon Williams, who's just screaming for it on the far sideline. Now, is this another zone, Sean?
No, this is a saggy match for sure. You can see they're just taking away the unders and they're just sagging on handlers.
Well, they gave up a lot of space for the overhead, dropped it right behind to Agnew. Agnew along the far sideline, and then gets a little bit of 1-2 with Gregor Stewart. 11-11.
Yeah, that's one of those things where you're playing a little saggy and you're giving up the space. Players that good are going to take it and they're going to run with it, because they just tossed it into space, 3-4 times, carried on going, and it looks like it's very, very easy. That is, at their level it's easy, but like the ability to recognize, to be able to execute those throws so well, that's not easy.
I think it's also the understanding between players. It's
definitely
just something you have when you go to the same unis or you grow up playing in the same hat tournaments. Like, bear in mind, a lot of Scottish season takes place indoors, where a lot of this ability to just throw those passes that kind of sit and people run onto and chase, and you get that really quick connection with a wide range of people coming to the fore.
Because you could argue there that the I can't remember who it was, but the player who was on the force that eventually got tossed over for the score, if they drop off and take Agnew while he's coming in and let Vinfar push onto the mark, as you see Cammy Agnew with 3 goals, and he's staying out there as well on the D line. But then if that happens, Agnew would just drop off and you get a throw straight between the middle of them, because like you said, their understanding is so good that they'll just be like, I'll see what's happening, I'll react, and we'll go through it anyway. So it doesn't really matter what you do in that situation.
They're not attacking the space, they're attacking the defender until the defender makes a decision, and then they do the opposite.
Exactly.
Which is a level of virtuosity that only comes about, I think, through persistent playing with the same people.
Understanding,
persistent
chemistry.
Collaboration. It was too many polysyllabic words in a row. I was like, all right, look, and you're not giving a business talk. You actually like this.
He's got no faith in any of you people listening to be able to understand what that means.
I've had to say collaboration a lot and co-production. I work social care. It's an exciting time here in the UK. You know, the results of the election coming through, the results of UKU Nationals still to be decided.
Good segue.
Lee. And I love that force by Boxall as well. The all the way around dump force, as Turville immediately takes advantage of its absence. Varney wants to go down the line, does the second chance. Phipps, and they're rotating a lot of players around on Phipps now.
They're switching everything underneath is what's happening here.
Ah, well there you go. Hill has Mackie on his mark. Varney going backwards and forwards, and then slightly gratuitous, but he kept possession, so we don't mind, and then almost throws it away. Bernard Sanchez, that one was a little bit more necessary. And then he leads. I look like a battle! And that is another D from Johnny Evans. Stop throwing the disc near that man.
That's a brilliant D, and there's 2 things about it that's brilliant. One is the recognition to get yourself in that spot. It's so difficult when that's being led up the line, when you're looking at your mark to know it's coming over your right shoulder. And the other thing is that bid, making that without making contact is so hard. That's a brilliant body control D.
So you can see the man who got that D, the man who's gotten, I believe, 4 blocks so far in this game. That is John Evans. coming off injured to be replaced with Andrew Dick. And look, Johnny Evans is a fantastic defensive player. That's not a bad strategic swap.
Absolutely not, because you saw another injury. Varney's come off again for Smash D. I don't know who called the injury first, but bringing on Andrew Dick.
Agnew immediately to Dick, and it would have taken another huge bid. They might be coming back, though. Foul on the throw. Bernard Sedge seems to agree.
Yeah.
Turville and Phipps not aware. Calm it down there, lads.
It looked like that throw came out a lot flatter than Agnew would have liked. So it doesn't
seem to zip.
It doesn't surprise me there's contact on it. He's like pushed slightly as he's going into it, and then as he's unloading it, there's contact on the shoulder. It's one of those ones where it looks pretty light on the camera, but I'm sure when you're winding up to try and put as much onto it as he was trying to get on it there, you feel every single bit of contact.
The bigger the throw, the bigger the mistakes become.
Yeah.
So every like slight millimeter difference
See a
in
touch
angle.
there, touch there.
Yeah, no, that's going to affect. Stops the full follow through. And they go for the deep shot from the opposite side. Lots of people in the way. I like the challenge. I think that was eventually Cornelius who took it down. Or no, sorry, not Cornelius, but Fungarino. Hill. And there's the downfield switching to limit. So Terry picks up Fungarino. Dick tries to shut down the defense, and Lee takes box hold to mark it with that fake. Has it back. Wants to get it around to Hill, does so. Phipps coming straight through as Alba continue to switch this vertical clamp, as Sean pointed out to us. Hill to Lee. And again, just that little linchpin roll. He's in so much isolation. He's able to follow it all the way down. And how about you explain to us exactly what happened there, Sean? 12-11 to Smash D.
Yeah, like we talked about, Alba switching everything underneath, trying to just get in the way of everything. But the problem they had was that Sam Hill swings it out to Lee and then goes up the line, and you can see that the person who's marking Sam Hill is looking at the stack to see who's coming out for the reset. No one then goes from the stack with Sam Hill, and Sam Hill just has all the space in the world, and Lee is able to use that around lefty he's been using to such great effect in this game to get up the line and get it to Sam Hill for what looks like a really easy score, but that's because Alba putting on so much pressure, as we see here. Another shot of that, absolutely fantastic
really
block.
See the positioning.
Really, really good. And then, oh, great angle of this. Yeah, you can see he's got such a good position. He just goes early as well. He goes before Turville, knowing he's got the slightly inside line. We see the out there to Hill. Hill goes to Lee, and you can see Leon Williams is waiting to see who comes underneath, but doesn't. He's got no one coming out the stack to help him, and Lee finds Hill on the front corner.
And I think against poachers, that's something that you have to do, is just continuously attack them.
And that is, you saw Sam Hill's gymnastics background there with that little flip. Sam Hill, son of Cy Hill, UKU CEO, and his athletic
Glorious
background.
leader.
Glorious leader. His athletic background outside of Frisbee is that he and his sister both did gymnastics and trampolining. So both able to flip quite a lot. You saw, I don't know if you've seen, but Emily, when she gets like kind of knocked over at windmill, she kind of lands on her back and then does kind of a handspring up to her feet. It's very impressive.
No, the Hill family, well-known tramps.
There you go. No, let's move on from that.
Already agreed. Already agreed with me, Sean. As Smash D 12-11 up, they called the timeout. They recognized the position they are in. They were expected by UCS to come in 15-12 down. So if they can turn that around, that is a huge swing that will see them climb up the rankings significantly, and with several other open division teams also using this as a UCS ranking, including Bristol, Kapow and Smog. They're bound to face one of those still this weekend.
All of whom are in their area as well, particularly Bristol and Smog. Like Bristol, Smog and these two teams, all very, very similar area, fighting for the same kind of points. You probably have Alba ahead of all of them in the rankings at the moment.
So I think, yeah, they're the
Bristol
highest.
would be the only one maybe, because Bristol obviously beat
I think they're
La
24th or something.
But having beat La Fota, they're in a decent position as well. But this, Smash score one more point here. They're already in the positive.
Dick looking for Agnew, and that's a classic Alba connection.
Classic Alba connection, classic GB Mix connection. I'm hoping to see much more of that this year, but yeah, great throw.
Not in case anybody's listening who's going to Australia. Don't pay attention. Those two players never throw to each other.
That's
subterfuge, Sean. Subterfuge.
Agnew? I don't know. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Never heard of him before. But
Agmeow, of course, named after the famous Highland cat.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's a nice throw. Dickers one of those players who's really good downfield, finds space downfield, but he's so dynamic with the disc in his hand. He's one of those, get the disc to him, 1 or 2 throws, and he'll be able to make things happen downfield, and he does a great job of it there.
His ability to pick out targets, of course, earning him the nickname Spotter Dick.
I no sold that one. That was nothing from me. You got nothing. You got a steely gaze back into the eyes. That's all you got.
I'm running the whole gamut today, Sean. We're going to enjoy it all. This has been a fantastic match to start things off. Just as a brief recap, I don't think anybody, certainly not the European ranking organisers, thought that Alba would be coming into this at the start the way they did. Smashed came out and eponymously smashed them, stealing away to that first half lead of 8-4, including the 2-0 start, but just looked sharper, looked deadlier, and then just looked so much more relaxed with the disc in hand. Alba had a little bit of vengeance to start the second half to get back to 8-8. We've basically been trading since then. Lots of different defensive looks, lots of different offensive approaches, and right now it is all tied up. 12-12. Turville with the disc. He wants Phipps to make a move. Mackie, like a coiled cobra, was trying to time it. See Agnew working very hard to limit options. Fungarino with the high release backhand. Shouldn't have worked, but Varney's a long man. Extends those go-go gadget arms and brings it in. Varney to Lee, back in the middle of the pitch. Lee's been sensational all game long, and I almost cursed him, but getting low to rescue possession. His teammate gets it immediately back to him. Doesn't want the swing across to Turville. Goes to Fungarino on the opposite side. That is Haunton. He saved Lee's blushes. He's working tirelessly in the cutting position. He wants a little bit of vengeance from earlier. Understandable. Lee. The scooping break to Hill. Gets it to Phipps. And there's Lee back in front of the end zone. Doesn't want the break to Fungarino. They're isolating cutters. Trying to get someone to get free. Houghton does eventually. Front of Stack. And then leads Phipps for the score. There might be a bit of conversation. Seems like that could come back. As you see Terry return to marking Phipps.
It looks as though Cleary is rubbing his shin, or whether there's some contact there, but they have accepted that. It didn't make a great deal of difference, and it is a goal. And that is another point where Smash D do a great job under very, very heavy pressure, resetting it, moving it, making smart decisions, keeping it going when they're in a little bit of a sticky situation, and Lee makes every reset decision right throughout the entire game, and then makes one slight mistake and his teammate bails him out. It's just really, really impressive execution from Smash D under, you know, the kind of pressure from Alba that comes when you bring in Cleary from the O-line, when Agnew is out there playing pretty much every point at the moment. They are throwing absolutely everything at this game, and Smash D have now outperformed what the EUCS rankings said they would, so they're going to come out of this with something positive at least, as we'll see Joel Terry throwing himself at that, just coming off a shoulder injury, so maybe kind of just getting mentally back up to the point where he can really get those layout blocks. But impressive stuff from Smash D, and they are putting themselves in a great position to take this game away as we get really into the business end of it.
That return to the calm offense, the way they just keep poking and prodding with their dump cuts, or even the way Lee was isolated looking at 6 people in the end zone, but only one of them was moving, and they got one move to attack in the end zone, and then it was get out of the end zone and get this disc back off me. And they seem to trust everybody coming into that position. I think I want to give a special shout out to Nicholas Houghton. I thought was brilliant on that point. Some of those cuts, especially the layout to save possession, but then immediately cuts back into the stack, fakes deep and comes back under the break side for another 20-yard gain. That kind of stuff, that engine work to just keep the offense moving.
Yeah, another one of the young players on that team. He's played under 24s last year. Was on this venue with the open team. Just another really talented player.
Campaign as disappointing?
I don't think so. I think with a lot of the players on that team were pretty inexperienced, and they hadn't really played at a really high level. You look at a lot of the American players. Obviously, we're talking about a different level here, but look at a lot of the American players. They played at US Nationals for really top teams. A lot of the guys on that team had played for Smash D, but were like relatively low rep players on Smash D. The leading guys from Chevron had amazing tournaments, but I think the depth overall was not necessarily what it was in some of the other nations. And I think every single one of those players developed really well, and you can see a lot of them playing really well now based off it.
I would agree. I also think Chevron's title win tied to that to a certain extent as well, as we see Alba Boxall with the disc in hand. I thought he was going for Dix instead. He's just going to throw that straight into Smash D, stealing through and getting the block as Isaac Dukes wants to get the dump swing off the line, and Smashed hoping to finish this game the same way they started. Plenty of pressure and a chance for a score. That's going to come back on a pick. There's 2 22s. I think that's Nixon.
I think that's Nixon, yes. I think De Guerra is the one with a slight moustache. That's the way I've been telling
that sounds right, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Looks like Williams has called this pick, so it's going right. It's going back to the first throw.
So Edgar gives it up. This goes back to Nixon. Is that?
It was 3 22s.
Well, look, we're going to call that one Nixon.
Yeah.
Van Far had that technical assist earlier on in the game. And this time gets a real one. Finds Eggers for the goal. 14-12. That's a big deal.
That is a big deal. That's a huge, huge point, because that means now not only are Smash D going to be sitting pretty in the EUCS rankings, we talked about it, but they're more than 12 now, so that's great for them. But now, unless Alba get a 3-0 run here, which they haven't had at any point in the game, I don't believe. They had one at the beginning of the second half, of course. But they need a 3-point win. Otherwise, this game is going to go to Smash D, and Smash D are going to be putting themselves in a position to potentially earn a semi-final berth, which they've never had before.
Could you just very quickly explain how that structure works for us?
So this year at UK Nationals, we've had lots of different structures in the last few years, but there's 8 teams in every division. This will be the same in every division. So it's 2 pools of 3, and then the top 2 from each pool go into the semis. There is no crossover, there's no quarterfinal. It's 5 games. Every single team on this in this tournament will be playing 5 games, 3 pool games, 2 knockouts. Top 2 from each group go into the semis as we hear the hooter. So this is against 15, doesn't change a great deal for us. But yes, Smash D have never been in that position. Alba obviously made the final a couple of years ago, but this would be quite a step for what is still a quite young team.
You could still call them quite a young team.
I think so.
I think they were quite a young team like 6 years ago.
But a lot of the guys who were on the team when they started the team now potentially are not quite young. Christian Turville, no longer 24 qualified. He's still in his 20s, but you know he's not a young player anymore. But now they've brought in a lot of guys who still are under 24 eligible. I mean, we're talking about Vinfar was on that team. Horton was on that team last year. There's still guys on this team that are kind of developing, coming through. Zarad, who's on the D-line, who has the disc now, another young player. So I'd still say they're still a young team, and even the ones who've been around longer haven't done the things that some of the guys on this Alba team have done, right? Haven't played national semis, nationals finals. So
haven't been to world championships at
exactly,
the same level.
Exactly.
Well, right now they are playing in the UK championships and showing you they are the level. Boxall to Agnew, back to Boxall. As Alba try to go down that break side, and again, Superman Dick saves possession. That one required a little bit less effort.
It did. I'm not sure that was for him, but he's there to clean it up.
Then he looks for Agnew. And another delicate pass over the top. Terry takes it down, and Alba score just about.
Just about. I think Cammy Agnew put a little more bounce on that one, what he liked. He was anticipating the contact potentially. Maybe that comes back for a foul either way. But ends up in Joel Terry's hands, and that is 1 of 3, as Joel Terry looks delighted with his stats.
So this closely fought contest will continue for at least one more point. The Smash need to cash in this massive opportunity in the UCS rankings and for a semi-final berth. Alba don't want to let them happen, so they're going to take a second to collect their thoughts, and we will take a second to collect our breaths, as it is currently Smashed 14, Alba 13. Welcome back, everybody, to what could be the final point of this game, but I'm sure there's many Scottish hearts hoping that is not the case. Right now, Smashed, staring down a huge opportunity, Sean.
Yeah, big opportunity. They get a hold here, they get the win. Big for their UCS rankings, big for their UKU Nationals positioning, big for kind of confidence going into the rest of the tournament. This should be a huge moment for those players who, as I've said, a lot of these guys don't have experience of playing in those big games that Alba had been in, but then Alba, a lot of experience on this line, lots of GB players on this line. This is a big, big, big moment for them. They know it as well. This is going to be a very hotly contested point.
Lee immediately goes for the break to Turville, and the bounce and recollect. Has Lee again. That's a tired cut in the dump space. The exact kind we wouldn't have seen from them earlier in this match. Turville, Bernard Sages is working tirelessly. I mean, you need to if you've got Evans on you. He has been getting blocks all match long. Bit of contact downfield between Terry and Turville, I believe.
Yeah, Terry and Turville. I wonder whether Turville's basically stopped to try and shake Terry and there's some contact, or whether he's just hit box all in the stack. Unclear, but it doesn't look like anyone's particularly unhappy there. But you can see again, Alba is switching a lot, and with Mackie in the deep space, they have been pretty content to leave guys streaking with lots of space. So clearly Alba are going to be gambling here to get turns in the attacking half.
I think you've got to. For me, defense is just about setting up gambles and then getting to try and see if they work out. And there was a lot of pressure. Big hand from Mackie, sweeps through and bats it down. Exactly what they needed. They panicked. They panicked them.
Definitely a high stall throw. He just turned around and put that into an area where he thought people might be.
Boxall gets it across. That won't seem low. Forgive me, momentarily losing my professionalism. Agnew picks it up. And they are able to get it across to Terry. Has Boxall in a dumb position, but a very good defender in Lee on him. They go down the line instead. Evans. Will he throw a flick? A very smooth one. Sits it out perfectly into space. I wonder why he's been throwing so many backhands up the line then. Boxall across to Agnew. Agnew right in front. Wants to make it universe. Goes back instead to Terry. And Terry! The OE! The IO! Whatever it is Benji calls that throw. It didn't work, and Smashed are looking to get away to the races. Phipps feeds Lee. Lee can chase that down. He's got all day and plenty of land to look into. He leads. Houghton scores! Smashed win!
Smashed win! What a point! Alba worked that all the way up. Slight execution error from Joel Terry. That looked for all the world like Alba were going to score that point. Bring it to Universe, but they don't quite get it right. And as you said, Lorcan, Smash D off to the races, did a great job of just overloading that deep space with players. And in the end, there was just not enough defenders to mark the guys going downfield. Houghton was able to find the space. Lee streaking downfield, no one on him. You could see that throw, he had to look over one shoulder, then the other. As we see this stall 9 turnover, just put into the middle of the field. A hopeful turn. Mackie throws out an arm and knocks it away. Just too far in front of Boxall, but the catch block means that Smash D can go quickly. Lee turns over the right shoulder, reels it in, and then rather than wait for someone else, just puts it out in front of Houghton. You can see Joel Terry is about to hit the ground already in exasperation and disappointment. Big, big, big win for Smash D as a program here, and big blow for Alba. They have an absolute mountain to climb to get into the semis and to get into the UCF. With those EUCS ranking points, they're going to be losing here.
Well, then you're going to need to keep it right here with ulti.TV as we continue to bring you action all weekend long. And look, if that's how it starts, just imagine how it's going to continue. We have the mixed division coming up next with Lemmings taking on Reading. But for now, and we'll see that in about 5 minutes, on behalf of myself, Lord Murray, and of course, Sean Colfer will be here all weekend. So we will catch you next catch time. Same catch channel.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, ultimate.
ulti.TV.